is the reason I'm bringing all this up is that the Mayan Code actually has the final solution for some of the issues that came up in the Pleiadian agenda. In other words, it's taken me basically 12 or 13 years to understand my own channeled book, and at this point I feel that I do.
Amy?
Are you there, Amy?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So according to the Mayan Code, the one dimension that I did not figure out when I wrote Alchemy, I couldn't figure out the science behind it, was the ninth dimension, which is the highest dimension, which, according to the Pleiadians, is located in the galactic center. And so at this point, I think the Mayan Code truly comprehends and explains the ninth dimension.
Well, doesn't our solar system come around to alignment with the galactic center?
Yeah, we actually came to our this is the alignment of the winter solstice sun with the galactic plane, and the closest alignment was actually 1998. It really occurs over a period of 50 years, but the closest alignment was in 1998, and that turned out to be really, really significant, because what happened during this close alignment is that the high latitude glaciers started rebound. They had been pressed down by the weight of the glaciers for the last 11,500, 12,000 years, and for the first time, they started rebounding. And then at that point, the Earth developed a bulge at the equator, which was visible by satellites. Now, this is a really significant level of change on our planet. And also, I think that regarding global warming and why the glaciers are melting at the poles, well, wouldn't you wonder whether glacial rebounding might have something to do with that? And yet, people didn't pay a lot of attention to this.
Well, in 1998, didn't we also enter the photon belt? And would that have some effect on the solar activity?
Yeah, one of the things that I channeled from the Pleiadians was this whole issue about the photon belt. And we actually have been going into it actually for around 50 years. But the photon belt so far is the only part of this material that I've not been able to verify scientifically. And so it's still like a channeled idea from the Pleiades, which I think seems to have validity. But what's amazing is all of the other really wild ideas that came through from the Pleiadians since 1994-95 have been verified by science.
Barbara, who are some of the people in this field of 2012 that you admire?
You know, I really admire the latest book called The Mysteries of 2012, which you probably had some of those people on. The basic editor, I think, is Greg Braden.
Yes.
And I really liked it.
John Major Jenkins has been on. We've got a lot of these people.
Right. And I really liked that book because a lot of the people in the book are futurists, and they're also looking toward a critical leap. And I really, at this point, you know, things are so tough right now that I look around pretty hard for intelligent people who can see how we're going to come through this thing and how we're going to come out of it. So I actually admired that book a lot.
Let's go east of the Rockies. You're on Coast to Coast. Hi there.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, please. And where are you calling from?
I'm in Tennessee.
Okay, sir, go ahead.
Your guest had mentioned that these underworld time periods or whatever, and how they've been shortening up or speeding up. And
right.
I guess my thinking of it when you said that is that it's making sort of a pyramid. You know, the older being larger, and then up to now where it's really a small, shortened.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we use images like that to explain it, as a matter of fact.
Okay, and maybe that's what the pyramids down south and everywhere.
Yeah, that's actually true. The Pyramid of Tikal in particular, which is in Guatemala, actually really expresses the 9 underworlds very well.
Okay, and then my other comment would be that since the Mayan calendar ended, maybe we're going to see an inverse, and then instead of underworlds, be kind of tied in with last night's guest with kind of like the rings of heaven or whatever.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't listen last night, but I had one student who just came up with a really amazing drawing like that of showing like what's going to happen once we start to go into those higher levels. And I personally can imagine it. I can tune into angelic consciousness pretty easily, you know.
Okay, thanks. Appreciate you being on the show. First time caller line. You're up with us. Hello there.
Hello?
Yeah, hi.
Yeah, I had a real quick couple questions for Barbara.
She's here. Go ahead.
Okay, Barbara, I've actually been doing a lot of personal research on this matter. For the past couple of years, I've listened to Michael Tsarion and some other, people who've done research on this. Basically, what my question is what is your standpoint on the Nephilims that they've found and
On the what they found?
Nephilim?
The Nephilim. Yeah, right.
And Nibiru, the planet Egg.
Right.
That's supposed to come into our solar system and kind of, change the world. I mean, I know that the Mayans ended their calendar, but back then they didn't really have technological advances to support life past, something that's going to be this devastating in 2012. So I do believe we will survive. But exactly where will be the safest place for us to live when this goes down?
Well, see, first of all, I don't agree with this theory on Nibiru and the Nephilim. This is coming from Zecharia Sitchin and the 12th planet in various works. And I've actually written a lot about that because it's what I call a theory of misplaced concreteness.
Okay.
I really actually don't think this is what the Sumerian scriptures actually say. As a matter of fact, I think the Sumerian scriptures are a description, the Enuma Elish, are a description of the cataclysm that happened 11,500 years ago. So I went through a whole process myself with Sitchin's research, because when I first encountered it, I thought he was right, and at this point I don't think he's right at all. So I just don't. I'm not seeing like a cosmic catastrophe. In fact, let me put it to you this way: one of the reasons I wrote Catastrophobia was I came to the conclusion as a healer and a therapist that one of the things that we're doing as humans is we're projecting the event that already happened into the near future. In other words, we had a cataclysm. It has not been that recognized by science, what actually occurred, common science. And so what we're doing is we have all this inner trauma within ourselves and fear from what happened before, and then we project it into the near future. And I call that catastrophobia.
Catastrophobia.
I call it like a syndrome. It's a syndrome of projecting past cataclysmic experience into the future because we haven't processed it within.
Let's go to our next caller, the wild card line. Hi there.
Hi there.
Go ahead.
My name's Eddie. I'm in Dallas.
Hello, Eddie. Take it away.
This also goes back to the guest you had in the first hour of the news of Japan opening up some documents of aliens and talking about her spiral. At the end, in the middle of that spiral, has to be a dot or that the event that's going to happen. And we have seen frequently more sightings of alien craft, a lot more reports of them coming out, other government people talking about them. Could that be what is going to happen in 2012? Is that right now they're getting us ready, and we're seeing the quickening of that, and in 2012 is when we'll have the contact.
Yeah, no, I really addressed that issue very clearly in the Mayan Code regarding a field of science called exopolitics. And the basic premise of exopolitics is that we have been quarantined on this planet from what they call universe society, which would be the cosmic realms, and that we have been quarantined because we're so violent and dangerous. And I actually think that the real issue with the Mayan calendar is the Mayan calendar is actually showing us that as we come to the end of the calendar, our quarantine is going to end. But the only way our quarantine can end is if we become a peaceful species. And so this is why I've stressed peace to such a degree in this book. I actually think the quarantine is going to be lifted, and I think we're going to be part of the universe again.
All right, international line, take it away. You're on the air with us.
Hi, it's David from Victoria. I got through. And anyway, talking about the end of the Mayan calendar, certainly, and of course, the calendar, any calendar, is a way of measuring time. based upon the movement, celestial movement, the rotation of the Earth, the revolution of the Earth around the sun, and the moon around the Earth. This is the basis of our present calendar.
Every calendar except this one.
Well,
yeah, in other words, this one